Hello, hello. And we've got a black screen down here, so who knows? You might be naked on the other side, but we'll figure out if Blake gets back what we're in for tonight. But welcome, everybody. Welcome to the another great Bourbon Community Roundtable about to come your way. Oh, he wasn't naked. Damn it. Well.
Okay, Kenny, are you having fascinations of seeing Blake naked? Something you want to tell us? Or?
I mean, it's like maybe we'll get a different rating, get some more funds rolling in. We can get some skin money coming in.
Yeah, we could move on over to OnlyFans. Yeah. Former NFL tight end shows all.
I know. So Blake, you said your laptop's not working?
Yeah, for some reason it's saying your browser can access your devices. No clue why that's changed, but I've tried to refresh, restart. Skype and Zoom aren't on, but I'm on the phone. How's the sound quality?
Like garbage, but
is it that bad? Let me make sure it's
the video looks great.
That's good. Yeah, that sounds like I'm in a tin can.
Phones usually look.
I wonder if
sounds like you're calling from a payphone.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. I feel
from 1987.
What's a payphone?
I just don't understand why the camera. Hold on, let me try one thing. Let me do this.
It's all right. We can give it a minute to make sure we got good audio. What's up?
How many times have we done this?
This
now,
is
question
68.
for you, Kenny. Would you give him a pass and just let it ride?
No, he's gonna boot me off.
I won't boot him, but we'll have to.
A lot of muting, huh?
We will definitely give it a minute just to see if we can get some good audio, because it'll make everybody's life a lot.
We won't boot him. We just won't let him talk.
Yeah, there you go.
Video only with his shirt off.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Okay,
you can write your answers on a piece of paper.
Oh, what the? Oh, so it's.
See, we get to see the whole play-by-play now.
This is great.
This is train wreck.
So who's going to the Derby? Who's got tickets?
I'll be there on Wednesday.
I'm going
to
Wednesday and Thursday.
You doing both days?
Thursday, Friday, it's looking like for me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to the Derby.
Because you're
Derby only, huh?
Yeah.
You're just famous.
Bringing in big guests?
Actually, no. It's just going to be Jacqueline and I. And that's our, we're going to be in the in that new home stretch area.
So, yeah, it looks nice.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, is that like the new big bar that they just put in?
They did so much, but yeah, there's seats like literally right on the rail with like tables. We're right behind those, so we'll be pretty close to the horses. It's right by the winter circle,
and then they have an indoor bar too, kind of like Turf Club.
Yeah. So there'll be we could have gone to Turf Club, but I couldn't drop $4,000 on the ticket. I just couldn't do it.
Oh, hell no.
Is this all still all you can eat and all you can drink open bar stuff again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It worked a lot better than I would have predicted last year.
And granted, it's all Brown Forman products, but
hey, no problems there. Sorry, come again, Blake.
Audio better now.
Oh,
did I catch a niner in there? No.
You went from payphone to like walkie-talkie.
Are you sure you're got the right microphone connected and everything? Your settings and the cog? I don't know how this happens.
It's
next time we're gonna have to come 10 minutes early.
I know, seriously.
Just tell them it starts at 8.
We're losing people, Blake. Come on. It's okay. We can give you another minute.
Hold, stall.
Yeah.
Better do the musical intro again.
Yeah. See, we're back here in a few minutes.
Roll the tape.
This nothing?
It sounds terrible. It sounds like
you got a wire loose or something.
like staticky.
Yeah,
we
it could be a
we
wire
take your
connection
first run
issue.
at it.
Blake, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Your first time run at it was better.
Do you let your kids play with your microphone?
How about now? Is that better?
No.
No.
Yeah, now it's really weird.
Maybe unplug it.
Plug it back
restart.
in. Brian, would you care to swing on over there and help him with his troubleshooting?
Yeah, I figured mine out. I mean,
Yeah.
Kenny just gave me one thing to do, and it worked.
Nothing.
Are
No.
you hardwired in? It looks like you're. I think you might be coming in through your headphones. The mic on the headphones. That's what it sounds like to me. You can turn those off and try the other. Your.
I was like, I wish I could.
Oh.
And he's gone. Perfect.
Restart.
All right,
That's
let's-
Got to hard line as much as you can in this stuff. In this
Let's
business.
talk
here.
shit about him while he's not here.
Hard
I heard
line.
Sealbox, any checkout now gets a virus.
So,
sent to
Brian,
your
where are you
email.
going to be Thursday?
Thursday, I guess they're still doing it in those same rooms in the Jockey Club suite where they do the the whole floor is some
Yeah.
company invites everybody.
Nice.
So insurance agent bringing me there.
I'll be at the home stretch, home run, whatever, like Fred's talking about.
Home Run
30.
Village.
The home stretch. That's where you're at. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm nervous. It's gonna like pour down on us. And
It always pours one day. It's either Oaks or
Yeah.
Derby.
Yep.
It's like
One or the other.
you just hope if you're going to Derby that it pours on Oaks. If you're going,
Mhm. In 2020, both days were like pristine, perfect, beautiful, and like it's canceled.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I always
Ridiculous.
thought it was better when it was in September because the weather's a lot better usually in September, except Burn Beyond weekend. That one.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Except for that whole snafu.
I don't think there's anything that any moment of the year that it's not going to be subject
yeah,
to weather anymore.
Kentucky's. Yeah.
Blake, do you have a blue light LED on? Does it have the on button on and the microphone?
I don't see it. On. That sounds
no.
better.
Hold on.
It's getting
Is
there.
that better?
That's a lot better than before.
Well, it needs to be on and have a blue light on the microphone.
Like
Is there a
be.
blue light that's on? I can't see from this angle.
No.
but it
Nick-
should be-
Yeah.
Nick looks like he has a
No,
lot more
clear.
cords
Yeah.
than his than.
Yeah, if it's not, then are you sure you're?
Do you have a
plugged in?
power button?
Are you
plugged
sure
in
it's
on it?
plugged into the computer? I
Well,
know
if
it's
it's
some question,
up
but
is,
like that is like.
Nick has
Yeah.
like 3 cords. You have 1.
on is up, Blake. So I think you do have it on if you just flipped it up towards the mic head.
He doesn't even have it plugged in the microphone to the computer. He didn't have it plugged in. Look, it's on now.
Yeah, it's gotta be there.
But you gotta take yourself.
There. It's lit.
You gotta try. Give us something, Blake.
Check 1, check 2.
No, are you?
No,
Is
what
your
happened?
settings? Is it really going through the right microphone?
Yeah, so I'm on settings.
There's
Microphone it says, let me try this up. Other one, default, ATR.
Yeah, ATR 2100 is what you should be using.
Yeah, is that better? Hello, hello.
Do you have
Yeah.
any other
Do you have other
devices open?
USB ports?
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you can plug it in? Do you have any devices, anything that's open on the computer? Might also be like
Thank
a
you for everybody
microphone?
that's hanging with us for 10 minutes of trouble.
Everyone, I shut everything down.
Everyone's on pins and needles now. They want to see. They
Yeah.
want to see what
This
happens.
is comedy gold.
Where is it?
Oh, no.
Can you try a different US? Shem said to try a different USB port in your computer. See if that does anything.
It's back to the phone after this.
It might have to be.
Yeah, Blake is going to send a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle to whoever
Guess
in the
we'll just
chat
send
can
you a
figure
new
out how to
laptop,
get this going.
Yeah, I have to say.
Send
Bought
you a
everybody
mic
ideas out
microphones,
there.
so I guess I'm gonna have to buy everybody new laptops just to be like, this is
Yeah, there
this
you
is
go,
only for
Ken.
roundtables.
Okay, how about this?
Nah, there's something up with you or your computer or something. I don't know. Go on and get back to your headphones and your phone, and we'll do it through there.
It's probably the cable. My cable was fried already. I had to. Seems like they're always bad with these mics. All the
Really?
mics I've
All
ever
right.
had.
Well, we will
Yeah.
try for next time of troubleshooting. We'll make them go. And, I mean, I've got like boxes full of USB cables because I don't know how to get rid of them. But
Me too. Go to the supply,
mhm.
to the drawer.
All right.
We'll wait for him to kind of come back. Then we'll get started. But thanks everybody for sticking with us for almost 13 minutes of troubleshooting. So that's you got to get your pregame going. Yeah, that's a throwback of ever.
For the
Saw that.
seal box.
Whoa,
microphone
we just
fund.
got a donation for a Sealbox microphone fund. here,
Hey,
Whiskey Nose.
thanks, Whiskey
Look at
Nose.
that.
Appreciate it. It will
That's
go to
great.
good use. We will send them a USB cable right from Amazon right after this.
Mm.
You know, it's
And an instruction manual.
All right, let's see if we can get him this time. You back, Blake?
Can you hear me?
Back.
Still
I got
pretty
you.
bad.
Well,
So
no,
much
I mean,
better.
This is better than it was, so we'll take
Yeah,
this.
this
Yeah.
is
I swear. I mean, I'm like sweating because this was all set up. I'm like, this is why I hate tech. This is it right here. You
this
can have
actually
it all. It
sounds
can do
this sounds the
exact
best it
same
has the
perfect-
whole time.
Yeah,
There we
this-
go. I'll go with
yeah,
that.
that sounds
I'll
good.
go with that.
All right, cool.
It's vintage, right?
It's vintage audio. Here we go. Yeah.
Here we go. Everybody's on CD quality. Blake's just still got his cassette tape sound.
I'm on
over here.
8-track.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get started. Everybody just do the usual. Drop yourselves on mute and then unmute yourselves when ready to talk. And we'll kind of just lead in, make it all happen. Sound good? Fred, mute, not take your camera off. There we go. You figured it out. All right. Here. Oh, Big Vic. What's up, man?
Blake's
Another
rubbing off on
$5
me,
to go
Jimmy.
back to the Sealbox mic fund. There we go. Appreciate everybody. All right. Welcome, everybody. Another episode of Bourbon Pursuit. This is Bourbon Community Roundtable number 68. The whole gang is here tonight. So I've got myself, Fred, and Ryan. Gentlemen, how are we doing going up into Derby week here coming up soon?
I know. It's so good to be here. I'm ready to go play the ponies.
Yes, it's 2 weeks of celebration for 2 minutes of horse racing. I love it.
Do you have a particular way that you bet? I mean, do you have some sort of do you
$2
look
try
through the-
boxes every time.
just try boxes? So you
Yep.
try to go big and hopefully you hit big, but
$12 a race, and if you win, you win. If not, it's $12.
what about you,
So
Fred? Do you have a gambling sort of a way you read the program or
yeah, I do, but I also have a very good friend who's a pro. His name's Ellis Starr, and he's like the handicapper for a ton of like blood sport and like Keeneland. He's a brilliant handicapper.
did you
He
say
will
blood sport?
Yeah,
like
blood
Jean-Claude Van Damme blood sport? Is that what we're talking about?
I'm pretty sure Bloodsport's I can't remember the name of the magazine. I think it's Bloodsport.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's like talking about their bloodlines and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were talking some good old Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I mean,
days
that
of
is a great
Bloodsport.
movie, by the way.
That's a sweet movie.
Hey, did you ever see the Amazon Prime movie where it was Jean-Claude Van Damme, had his own like thing and like he was traveling back in time, communicating to himself,
I must have missed that one. Was that before or after Lionheart? I couldn't remember.
Oh, this is like 2016. It was like one of Amazon Prime's very first like featured series. It flopped, but if you were a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, you had to see it.
Yeah, Cecil's out on Van Damme. Sorry.
So anyway, I'll follow his picks, but I also like I will bet almost exclusively on speed, and that'll be the number that's one of the numbers in the columns that's bolded. I'll always go with a horse that's got really great closing speed.
Yeah.
It's probably smart to pick the horse that runs the fastest. It's a
depends
solid
how long
solid
it is.
guess right there.
On the
Yeah,
short ones.
It depends. It depends on the race. It also depends on what they go up against, and of course you got to go by the trainer and all that. And if you don't look at the horses in the paddock, you can hurt yourself because there's little things. If that you can see with the horses. So
I always like Jill's picks. I'm like, Jill knows what she's doing, so I always like reference back to her. I can't remember her full name, but she always gets on before every race and gives her picks at the track. So
Right,
go wrong with Jill.
right at the time as it's happening, right?
She's always got 3 out of the 4 favorites in there. So you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Well, so my dad always had a thing that if you go to the track and you bet $20 on the favorite on every single race, you're probably going to come out ahead at the end of the day. It's not the most exciting way to do it, but you're probably going to come out ahead. The other option is do what our friend Brian from Sip It Corn does, and you go to the paddock and figure out which horse takes the dump last, and that's going to be the lightest one, so it's going to be really swift on its feet. So, but let's go ahead and introduce everybody. So, Brian, I'll let you go first.
That's exactly right. I was going to say that. I'm glad you did. That is the best way to bet. But this is Brian with Sippin' Corn. Find me online at the socials at Sippin' Corn and Bourbon Justice. And my bet is probably more lame than yours, Ryan. It's 3 horse exacta box. So I'm totally
Mr. Safe Play.
Totally hedging, but you're right. I pick 3 horses, but I do it only go for 2 in the winter. So it's not exciting, but I do tend to come out ahead.
Yeah, it's smart.
So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I wish I do a lot of the 3 horse exacta boxes, but I usually never win. I always try you grab like a favorite, but you don't want to grab a 5-1 with it. You want to grab something that's like a 10 to 20 or something like that, because that's what's going to pay off.
That's the temptation, is get that payoff.
I know. Nick, what about you? You come to Kentucky quite often. Are you a big horse gambling, racing kind of person?
I used to. So Nick with Breaking Bourbon here. I used to live in Saratoga Springs, so we would go quite a bit. I lived walking distance from the track, and we would just go set up camp there, bring the cooler, bring chairs. Tended to do kind of the same thing you guys did. There'd be days when you kind of studied the horses. As Fred was talking about, you go look at them. You kind of get a sense of who's moving a little bit more freely. Who seems kind of nimble that day. But then I'll be honest with you, a lot of times we kind of just pick based on the name that I like. If they kind of look like they're in the range of the odds that makes sense and the payoff's going to be good, why not root for a horse with a cool name? So that tends to be sometimes the way I go with that too. But kind of just depends on the day, depends on the crowd that I'm with, that sort of thing.
It is a bunch of animals running in a circle, so it's like don't overthink it.
Very true. Very true.
Sometimes that's it, man. You had a few drinks in, I like that name. I'm betting on you.
Sounds good. And I'm going to steal this one off of Bruin. We'll go to the guy over here that basically picks a horse that's based on any reference to bourbon. And that's Blake from Sealbox. How are you, bud?
Doing well. Yeah, thanks for having me. Always fun to be on. I don't have much good, you usually don't go to the guy from Florida for your horse betting advice, so I won't try to jump in and act like I know what I'm talking about. Typically all my bets happen on the golf course. So, but
there's a few tracks in Florida though, aren't there?
The Florida Derby
more
is
I was going to say.
The Florida Derby is like where many great horses like Big Brown won and came and won the Derby. I mean, that's like one of the major races
Florida.
Going into the Derby.
That's South Florida somewhere. I don't know where that is.
They got the greyhounds up in North Florida.
Yeah, we made that illegal too. We got rid of that. But no, Blake from Bourbon or Sealbox, always fun to be here. Celebrate my 13th wedding anniversary tonight, so a big round table for sure. We actually celebrated this weekend, which is why I'm here tonight. Otherwise, I would have had to miss it. But no, always fun to be here. Thanks, guys.
Well, all our best to Danielle then. So tell her thank you so much, and letting us celebrate your 13th wedding anniversary.
Exactly. Not many wives would be okay with that, but
I might get her a USB cable for her birthday next year.
All right, so let's kind of dive in with our first topic. So the first one it's some news that popped around, I think 2 weeks ago, and this was the news that came out on Barton 1792 social media, and they had said that they are going to indefinitely start shutting down tours, and I believe they're going to be shut down at the end of this month, at the end of April. So if you had tours, you're still good, but they said, after this, we're going to kind of shut it down. And that kind of got us thinking a little bit, because this is what we do best around here. We speculate. We don't really know the whole reason behind it, but we love to speculate and figure out exactly what was the reason? Like, why did they really shut this down? And I know that we had some talk in our back end sort of Twitter chat that we all have within this group, and thinking that, well, maybe it's just too industrial, that they don't want to put in money to fork over what it's going to be into a what people expect out of a visitor experience. Or maybe it's just they said maybe we just can't make it happen. But I kind of want to go to you all. Let's kind of start throwing some theories around and figure out, do you feel that we're losing a big staple? I know, Fred, we've got another big podcast coming out soon with Danny Kahn. Or actually, we just had one come out with Danny Kahn, and we kind of talked about we all have he's got a lot of history about what's going on there. And, Barton is one of those iconic distilleries that's been around for a very long time. And it's going to be disappointing for a lot of people that are getting into bourbon that want to know more about, you just don't want to go see the super uber modern refinished ones, but you want to see what a workhorse looks like. And you're not going to get that experience anymore.
Yeah. And, the thing is, Barton at its core in the 20th century became basically a source whiskey supplier. In the 1960s, Oscar Getz, for whom the Oscar Getz Whiskey Museum is named after, and Bardstown, ran that distillery, and they supplied people with source whiskey. That was their duty. That's how they made their money. They had Barton, of course, they had a couple other brands, but that was chiefly how they made their money, and that continued to be the case. And today it's a white label brand. It's a white label maker. So they supply the whiskey for Kirkland, which is Costco, for Kroger, which is Stonehammer, for Total Wine, which is, Walcott, and a few others. They supply a lot of people with product, and that is their mission. And, Sazerac is, they're changing a lot of strategies. There's kind of like a change in leadership in a lot of places within their parent company. And I think it's pretty common to see a decision like this being made. And as much as people want to see this, I think it's the best thing for the distillery, because I've been there many times. They did their best. They put on good tours, but it was never at the level, never had the facilities, never knocking on the door of Buffalo Trace or some of the others. And while it is sad to see it no longer be offered, because, it gives insiders a little bit of a sneak peek into some things, the fact is they're going to be able to put their resources to where that distillery makes its money. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there's something that we also keep in mind, that Barton and Buffalo Trace, they don't charge for tours. They were all gratis. People could come just whenever they want. So it was kind of interesting to kind of see them take this turn. But do you all think that they did this in regards of they just can't create a visitor experience, and that would just be too much to refinish to kind of live up to the standard that maybe that they're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, it's like the enthusiast is really losing something here to really get that behind the scenes look at it. Um, and for better or worse, we're just getting more of like the Disney World aspects of a distillery. It's like, this beautiful, you walk through, it's air conditioned, you kind of see a barrel, you kind of see a still. Where that wasn't the experience at 1792. And you can still get a little bit of that with Buffalo Trace. I'm not going to take that away from them, but it's a much more just user visitor friendly experience now. And I think that's what they realized. They weren't going to have that at Barton. So, that's not the foot they wanted to put forward. But for us who, we've been on enough tours, we've watched enough video screens of how bourbon is made, in like a little tasting room, that was the fun part of it. So I think you kind of lose a little something, but I see why they do it. It's just not, it's not as kind of that polished finish as they would probably like most of their visitors to come and get. So
Yeah, it was an awkward. I mean, before they bought the other gift shop, there was like 10 parking spots, for guests to come in, and then they shifted. They bought that old Maxine's restaurant and made that the early times gift shop, and then they would like truck you over or like follow the leader or something, I don't know, over to the other gift shop to do a tour. But Yeah, I think it's just never set up for tours, and I just think it was gonna. If you look at, it's like how can you improve this? And I don't think you can. And it does suck because it is a fascinating tour, and especially when you go around the property and you see how many warehouses, and then you see like not just like the rick houses, but the palletized warehouses where they keep like all the brandy, where they do contract bottling for like Absolute and all these other brands. It's a huge contract facility for not just bourbon, but for a plethora of other brands. But I do think it was too. I think they had that one incident where tank bursted, and I think there was a lawsuit that was just settled from that, and it was pretty costly. And so, yeah, I think it's just I think that's their factory distillery, and they're like, let's just keep it that way. And it's sad, but I understand it because it always was kind of just like an awkward, it never was like felt like you were going to a tour. It was more just like a factory, I guess.
It's like watch your head on the rotary girder
right
there. Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of places for potential injuries, for guests, but
yeah, it was never going to be the idyllic place that so many other distilleries are. But I'm waiting for someone to talk about Ridgewood Reserve. I mean, they tried it. They've been trying this since whenever that was, the late 90s, when they had the legendary Ridgewood still and trying to launch the 1792 brand. It just never took. And I despite all that, and despite the fun that I think you can poke at them for this, it's a smart decision, and it's actually good to see them make the decision instead of trying to make it into something it's not. I mean, it's a factory that can pump out the white label and do the other contract bottling, and kudos to them to acknowledge that.
And so you bring up a good point. Sorry, I was gonna say, because it did seem like they were kind of like trying to push, the different varieties of 1792, and then you have these excellent finishes from the Thomas More line, with Danny and all that, and like they were really trying to like, make a more elevated brand for Barton, the 1792, and I guess that's what's kind of confusing, is because they were like trying to push that and push more premiumization of it, but I don't know, maybe this kind of says that they're maybe not going to be doing that. I don't know.
No, you do have something there, but there was also another great comment that let me pull it up real quick, that Ryan Walls actually had here, and kind of talked about how they purchased Early Times bottled and bond from Brown-Forman, brought that over into the fold, and this was going to be if you remember, their old visitor center was at the top of the hill up there at Ryan. What was the place that they revamped and made the Early Times
Maxine restaurant? Yeah,
exactly. And so now maybe that's just been abandoned altogether, because I don't know if they're actually going to have anything for the Early Times bottled and bond. I know they had the stickers on the window and everything like that, but who knows if that's really, if they want to attract people to that, or if it's just something that they said, all right, well, we'll just go ahead and scrap this and put to the side now.
And it's sad too, because Early Times, I feel like, it's just like lost momentum ever since it got purchased by Sazerac. Like it just really like pumped the brakes on it. They really haven't done much to like promote it and whatnot. Sorry, Nick.
It's okay. I was going to say, I think the interesting question is what's going to happen with the brands. Are they going to some extent abandon the brands? And do you look at 1792 and think of that as a really strong brand? Thomas More just went through tasting and reviewing those. They're kind of hit or miss. They've really kind of been hit or miss, and that asks the question of, with all the opportunity with expanding visitor centers and the tourism aspect and things like that, it's interesting to see, in kind of today's marketplace of what's happening with bourbon, them taking the total opposite kind of track on that. And maybe they're just seeing a lot more opportunity in that contract distiller space, and they're saying, let's just go all in on that, and our brands they'll keep plugging along. They do what they do, we'll keep putting them out and selling them, but we've got a lot more opportunity in this other space right now, which kind of seems like there is. I mean, you're seeing Bardstown get into that. You're seeing so much demand from these smaller companies that are able to really market and connect with the consumer, and they're saying, hey, we want to be there and put our efforts into growing that. It's kind of interesting and almost surprising decision and direction that they went with here.
Yeah, if you look at it from like where the marketplace is right now, and Kenny and Ryan know this all too well, the amount of money that brokers are charging for barrels is ridiculous. And there's not a lot of access to barrels that have Kentucky straight bourbon on it. And what Barton has been able to supply, you got to look at where the wholesale market is, and there's got to be a lot of profitability there from what they have in the warehouse versus the profitability they can get from a 1792, which has never taken off. It's a fine brand, it's excellent, but it has never. And I think a lot of it is the bottle shape. To be honest with you, those kinds of bottles, somewhat piss bartenders off because they take up too much room. But
I agree.
It's not as bad as the old
bottle
Forster
shape.
Sorry, what'd you say,
What?
Ryan?
I said I agree. I hate that the wide bottle shapes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, and I think there's an amazing opportunity for someone with well-aged stocks to just take advantage of everybody who wants to get in the game, because in what is it, probably about 3 or 4 years, all the investment barrels that are 2 to 4 years old, they're going to go on the market, and everyone's going to be like, well, that's nice. Everyone's got that. I want 6 to 8 year old bourbon. And then there's going to be Barton saying, well, hello there. We got you right here. Come on over.
That is an interesting point. Like, at one point, or at what point does one of the bigger guys say, hey, we're going to sell off some stock? We've seen Barton do it. We've seen some older stuff pop up, but I think that's more investor. But they would be primed for that to just be contract bottling, contract distillation. We're seeing others getting pushed out or just fully at capacity. As Sazerac kind of read the writing on the wall of like, hey, 1792 is not going to be Buffalo Trace. So let's take a step back. We're in the money-making business. How can we make the most money most efficiently?
Yep. And just to my point earlier is that tours and everything were free. They weren't really charging for them. And everybody that you have to staff the entire place, that's all overhead, right? I mean, it's not like they're making money on it. It's nice to sell a few posters and some candles inside the gift shop, but that's not going to go ahead and offset the cost of what it's, the hourly wage that they're paying for these people to staff the visitor center either.
Does anyone think
make money on free? Yeah.
Does anyone think with the warehouse collapse, do you think there's any element of we've got a danger here? I mean, think that weighed heavily into the decision of that, or just say no, not really? They wouldn't have employees going into those spaces if they really thought that was the case.
The latter point. And I think that it's one of those things that it happens once you learn your lesson. And as soon as that happens, I'm sure it was all hands on deck. Every single warehouse had gone tip-top shape. Make sure that you're, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. The plumb bobs are straight in every single one of them now. If they weren't then, I guarantee you they are now. And I think it was just probably a way to look at it with just, as we kind of just said, as Blake said, they're in here to make money. Like, where are they going to increase the profitability? Are they able to take the visitor center that they had redone, turn it into extra office spaces that people can use that are going to be there on property? They don't have to sit there and, they can work there closer, something like that. I have a feeling that that's the way that they looked at it. And it was just a sacrifice to say, what do you think they do? Maybe 10 to 15% of what actual Buffalo Trace does in regards to tourism per year. So they probably didn't look at it and say, this is what we need to do to establish brand loyalty, to get people behind it, because the amount of bottles that are on the shelves are continuing to grow. And so they don't need a destination to be able to kind of latch onto that consumer. They're already a pretty decent household name when it comes to whiskey in general. And so they can probably just rest a little bit on their laurels there and kind of focus on ways to just grow the business in general.
I'll throw one at you too. I'm sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No, just to back up, you're talking about contract distillation and the prices that the source market is getting right now. They would come out way ahead on then bottling it as 1792 or VOB. That say they're selling for $2,500, $3,000 a barrel on the low end. And they're not having to pay excise tax on that. The person, whoever's bottling that is, so they don't have bottling fees, no excise tax. I think it's like a no-brainer. They can make a lot more money on the contract distillation side.
I'll throw one out there that's definitely going to be on the tinfoil conspiracy bourbon hat. And that is, Barton's, could very well jump into taking on supply distillation of Blanton's. It could start taking on some of the other things for Buffalo Trace and, transport it over into those warehouses. Barton did that it does it for Abram, so I think there could be something else. There could be another strategy here. It could be like an extension to improve supply in their entire portfolio, and they would be well within their legal rights to do so. Brown-Forman does that with the Shively Distillery, supplanting whiskey into the Woodford line from Louisville. So I would say there could be another little angle here. It's a little conspiracy, but I thought I'd throw it at you.
It only has to rest inside warehouse age for one day to become Blanton's. Is that what it is?
That's right. It's there on the day that it gets rolled out. But you're right, Fred. There are a lot of freaking warehouses up on the hill, up on that new property. Massive, massive warehouses. And I know Buffalo Trace has some just insane capacity, but you need even more than that. I mean, that's how many warehouses they're putting up.
So, Fred, in that conspiracy theory, is the theory position that they would not want visitors in order to hide some of these things going on, or more just ramp up production to be able to do so?
I don't think they would necessarily be hiding it. It's a matter of, because they're not going to be bottling Blanton's there. That would never happen. The Blanton's line is set up at Buffalo Trace. There's no question that would be moved, in my opinion.
Just for the tourists, though, but for the masses.
You're trying to say like all the fermentation tanks at Maker's Mark? You're like,
cap.
Yeah. All the Cypress fermentation tanks. Well, yeah, those are the two you see. You don't see that there's 200 that are stainless steel over here.
I think that it would just be like, tankered and moved. I mean, who knows? But if I'm to put my conspiracy hat on, I would say that Barton has a good opportunity to supply some liquid for some warehouses for Buffalo Trace, and they could be barreled there and put out there into warehouses and so forth. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, and it would be within their rights to do that. And by the way, I would even argue that up to about 8 years old, I'd probably prefer some of the Barton products over Buffalo Trace.
I agree with you.
So might be an upgrade.
I want to know about early times, because it seems like ever since Sazerac acquired early times, everything I thought they would do with early times, they're doing it with Benchmark, which makes no sense to me. But it's like, I'm trying to understand that. Does anybody have any insight on that?
I think when you look at any time of acquisition, anything in general, it usually takes years for this to happen in any sort of like large organization. You acquire a company and you got to get rid of the branding, you got to integrate teams, you got to do this sort of stuff to kind of look a little harmonious. And when you think about in whiskey years, it probably goes on even longer. So everything what they're still bottling right now is probably all Brown-Forman stock. Who knows if they've shipped barrels, if they're just still bottling over there and it's just, trading hands. I would think that we still have a little bit longer to kind of see that pendulum swing the other way. That's just what I feel.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I don't see them dumping early times or like degrading it at all. The one thing that Buffalo Trace does not do, or Sazerac does not do, is they do not degrade bourbon brands. They'll put a giant turd in a flavored whiskey all day long, but they will not do it to a heritage bourbon brand. They at least respect that. And Benchmark may not be my favorite, but a lot of people like it.
There you go. Got your answer there, Cecil.
Thanks, guys. I feel better.
Well,
that early times will be back one day.
Yeah, we'll wait. Somebody's gonna email us on Monday and they'll be like, you guys got it all wrong.
Oh, I'm sure this entire conversation will get us a few emails. Yes.
All right, so let's go on to the next one. Everybody's favorite topic, talking about allocation. And this one was kind of made a little bit more pronounced. It actually started on a Reddit thread, and Jim Varell over at Paste Magazine kind of dug up some more interesting tidbits and kind of talked about it, because for around 3 to 4 weeks, there were no allocated bourbons that were being in stores at any of the 400 ABC stores in Virginia. We're talking just Blanton's, Weller, Henry McKenna, Eagleware, you name it, just the regular run-of-the-mill sort of stuff that is now considered allocated. But now the Virginia ABC has announced a new and confusing yet randomized new system for the sale of allocated bourbons. So this is what the Virginia ABC put out there. And they said, to provide all customers with the greatest opportunity to purchase high demand, limited supply products, ABC will announce the store locations where limited availability products are available to purchase during store hours on any given day of the week, by randomly deciding where and when to offer these products for purchase. But they are going to limit the opportunities for individuals or groups to line up outside of stores for extended hours or seek information that gives them an unfair advantage. Therefore, they're going to enable these purchases so they don't get purchased ahead from other customers. So to make these highly sought after spirits available to as many customers as possible, in-store purchases will be restricted to 1 bottle per customer per day from all the limited availability products offered at any location. And they know that customers in all regions of the Commonwealth want an equal opportunity to get these highly sought after spirits. And they also know that these individuals who stood to benefit from obtaining the locations of these products ahead of time, they were using that information unfairly to mobilize and purchase items before other customers. So by randomly deciding where and when to offer these products for purchase, they will limit the possibilities for individuals or groups to abuse them. So what Jim said is that what we essentially have here is a system where customers will basically never know when any of these products might be available. And the new system will be entirely dependent upon social media announcements from Virginia's ABC's Spirited Virginia pages. But it might be even a little bit more cloudy. The Spirited Virginia social media pages will instead apparently announce that allocated spirits are being sold in general at various locations without actually confirming what any of those products are. So consumers will actually have to race to that location in order to find out what product or products are being sold there, or sometimes even call the store. But the first fail actually came out this past week. So Spirited Virginia posted that apparently it went out and people went out and scurried. And all of a sudden, what do you think happened? Well, there actually weren't products at the stores. And so they said, we are aware that some of the stores listed as authorized to sell limited products did not have the products in stock. We apologize for the misimpression created by our early communications, and their next drop message will only contain stores having both inventory available and that are authorized to sell. So what we have here is another example of a control state that is getting into figuring out how to deal with allocated bourbon. We know that Pennsylvania's been doing it for a while, doing these random drops on Wednesdays that used to happen online. Sometimes it was on Thursdays. I don't know, whatever it was. Ohio is kind of a crapshoot. They usually just have their online lottery where, you're one of 400 million people that can go and enter the online lottery. Good luck. This one is trying to do something completely different, taking everything that is what we considered a shelf item at one time, considered now allocated, distributing it out, but doing it on a way that the only way that you're going to be able to know about it is that you have to pay attention to the social media pages, and you just have to run out and scurry out at the exact moment. And this is to kind of get people away from lining up outside in front of stores and stuff like that, which I can totally agree and see like that, because I'm sure there was the same people that were there over and over and over again. But I kind of want to put it to you all. What do you think they're doing right, or what do you think they're doing wrong in this situation?
Yeah, so, I will control states to start with. I think we probably can all agree that don't want control states. It seems to not be the best solution in any event whatsoever. But what I've always thought would be the perfect scenario, or I guess as perfect as you could possibly get, is if a store took their allocation and just randomly put a bottle out. Let's say they had 52 bottles people wanted. Once a week, one goes on shelf. It's randomly there for a customer who happens to stumble onto it. Employees don't, buy it themselves. They don't tell their friends, whatever. It's maybe an impossible scenario. So I think what they're doing right is they're trying to move towards that idea of pay attention to the stores, be involved, watch social media, stop by more frequently. You might just happen to be there when something gets dropped, to that extent. I think they're moving in the right direction there. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be problems. I think I saw on their Facebook page, there was a comment of a lot of the stores were close by. So someone was able to go from store to store to store and buy a lot of the bottles themselves potentially. So I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. They're probably going to look at this a year from now and completely do something different. But is it a step maybe in the right direction? Do I like it better than a lottery? I think so, because it at least gets people kind of actively involved to some extent and actively, paying attention to the retailer, even though it's a control state retailer.
Is there any right way to handle this? I mean, Nick brings up probably the best possible solution, and that's just to randomly drop bottles. And then Liquor Barn does that, and they take pictures, and everyone gets pissed off about that. There's no way to win here. There's no way. I mean, there's a liquor store I know of. They get their allocation. They call up 5 people. Those 5 people come in and buy it in bulk, and then they go around and flip it. And now, are they a part of the process that we all hate? Absolutely, but they don't. Those retailers don't have to deal with that enormous mess of people being pissed off at them all the time. They can just go on selling vodka at 9 in the morning and Maker's Mark at noon. I just don't think that there's any good way to handle all this allocation stuff. The control states, the one problem that they have is that they have to report everything. Imagine all the private liquor stores across. We're sitting here judging Virginia, and we often judge Pennsylvania, which I make fun of Pennsylvania very frequently for how they always lose a bottle every year, and they put a press release out about it. But there's tons of private liquor stores that don't tell us anything about what they do, and I just don't know if there's a way to win here. And I feel bad for anybody who came up with this and now they feel like shit. And if they're watching this, there's nothing you can do. No matter how it went, you were still going to feel like shit because there's no way to win here.
This is pretty equivalent to what you had said with Liquor Barn, though, of just kind of randomly putting something out. If somebody goes and they find it, and you would think that, okay, maybe you can do that, but maybe not at a government controlled level. So I can try to advocate for them and say, yes, they're trying to do something where they're trying to make it more fair for as many people as possible. I feel that the one thing that they're probably missing here is that it's easy to do it with one store, but to try to coordinate this with 400 stores around the state to know that, oh yeah, these 22 stores have Henry McKenna today, and you're not actually telling people what it is. They just have to. I think there was actually somebody in the chat that said on here, Eddie Ahmed, he actually just said, I arrived at the Saturday to Virginia ABC that had quote unquote limited inventory. I ended up waiting for Buffalo Trace and Blanton's, but you don't even know what the inventory is. So you just go with some random hope. I don't know. For me, I would want to know exactly.
Pick a door, right? Let's pick a door. Yeah.
I want to know what I'm waiting for.
I think that's fair. That's a fair complaint there. I mean, I would definitely want to know too, but they're looking at it from like, so they're a government entity. They're looking at it. They're probably trying to prevent loitering, probably trying to prevent some of the situations we had in downtown Louisville with homeless fights. And, and I don't know if there's a worse situation than we've seen than with Old Forester at their own distillery when we talk about this particular issue. But I don't know. We talk about this a lot, and I just don't know if there's ever a winning way to do it. And you talked about Liquor Barn. Liquor Barn, set on the largest, collection of Pappy for a long time. They would hold lotteries, and people would just leave kicking and screaming, all pissed off. And so they moved to where they are now, and now Liquor Barn's a part of GoPuff, and that stash of Pappy will be in the GoPuff system. So, hit the fuck notes.
I think everybody kind of hit the nail on the head there, where it's just a lose-lose situation, just because there's probably one bottle to 1,000 people who want it. But the only other thing that really came to mind was like, they're going to get sued really quick. It's going to be like a Domino's Pizza situation whenever they had the 30-minute guaranteed delivery, and then they were getting in wrecks and like running people off the road to make sure they hit the 30 minutes. Like, when does that pop up where it's like, some guy tries to sue the Virginia ABC because he got hit by a car from somebody flying in for a bottle of Blanton's into the parking lot or something. But
Hold
I
on
don't
now.
know
Love the
if
way
that'll-
you think, Blake. This is
Brian's making that case right now. So
Yeah.
if anyone,
Yeah.
go ahead and put your
But
advertisement
I mean,
in here right now.
because I don't know what the legal but you're incentivizing people to, throw everything aside. And I get it if you work a job and it's like, so you're going to do this at 2 p.m. and I can't rush over there. So there just is no way. The only, I mean, I think it's a fair enough way for what they've done here. The only other way I think is a pretty good solution is you hold in-store lotteries. So you announce it, but I know that's caused a lot of problems in the past too. So, but yeah, that's kind of my only thoughts on it, and we'll see what happens from there.
I appreciate the banner, Kenny.
I was gonna say I'll call that 1-900 sipping corn, and there's a whole other.
Yes.
If you really want
Bourbon
to
Pursuit can make some money on that too if we do this one.
Nick, did you use the 1-900 numbers back in the day?
Did I use them?
I'm
No,
old
I was
enough to know what the
Nick. He went straight
1-900
to it.
numbers. I said I'm old enough to know what they are, Fred. Just like I'm old enough to know what a payphone is. So I'll tell you this: the real way to win is honestly not to go after these limited releases like there's something you need to get a speeding ticket or get in an accident for. I think once you get into bourbon deep enough, you realize that that's the case. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to tell, thousands of people that. But you guys are right. I mean, there's no winning here when you have something that you have limited supply and a lot of demand. No matter what they do, it's not going to work out. And I think you could get into a case where if it's statewide, and you're creating this fervor. I know local stores that do that here in New York, but I'd be hard pressed to think that somebody can make a case against a local store posting on their Facebook page that something's available. I mean, that would be pretty hard. Blast 1-800 sipping corn that later, but a whole state doing that. I mean, I could see where you could get into an issue where you did have some situations that could arise, and the whole state is like pressing this issue in doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think no matter what they do, people aren't going to be happy with it. They're going to be changing it in a year or two from now and constantly trying to evolve to it. I think the idea in New York where you have individual stores and each one kind of does their own thing, you get a nice mishmash of everything. So sometimes you have an opportunity here or an opportunity there. Other times you don't. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's the situation I kind of like the most because it's imperfect, but there's a lot of variation with it, where when you have a whole state, it's just you're in this state, this is what you get. And oh, by the way, people from out of state can buy too. So it's not like it's even limited to just residents of that state. Anybody can go and buy there. So if you notice that on their FAQ, so they could be selling, kind of unlike PA that does a lottery and it's in-state only, I believe they could be selling to somebody out of state as well.
I think I saw Fred was in Virginia over the weekend.
I was
out.
in Virginia over the weekend. Yes, I won't say what I was doing there, but no, I was there for a private event. It's all good.
He's camping out for Blanton's.
Listen, it was Henry McKenna. I heard Henry McKenna was at the store in Percival, so that's where I was.
And you went there.
Mhm.
It's got to change with the consumer. I mean, the reality is it's going to be totally messed up so long as people want to clamor for Buffalo Trace. I mean, that's just insanity. So, I mean, put that on the banner. I mean, go buy a Russell's Reserve 10-year. Go get a 1920 from Old Forester. Get any of those things. Just help yourselves first.
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to change consumer perception and consumer demand right away. If everybody that drink bourbon listened to this podcast, yes, we would collectively be able to change the lives of all the bourbon drinkers out there. But we have our bourbon diehards that are the listeners of these, the people that are on the chat right now, our communities that everybody surrounds us with. And those are the people that they get it. Like, they're not the ones standing in line at 6 a.m. waiting for a bottle of Buffalo Trace. Those are the ones that they've kind of figured out what's sort of the next stage. The one thing I do want to say here, though, is that I want to just give a hats off to the Virginia ABC for doing one thing. And that's probably just listening to the consumer and listening to their, the people of the Commonwealth, because the only reason they probably did this is because there were so many complaints of probably the same 100 people clearing out stores for years. And now they finally started listening and said, we'll try to figure out a better system to appease the most people as possible. So you got to just at least give them a little bit of credit there that they saw an opportunity to go and fix a problem, or at least attempt to try to do something different instead of keeping the status quo. And then that was able to, you're, as Fred said at the very top of this, you're not going to be able to please everybody. And any system that you do make is always going to leave somebody out. However, they're trying to do something that at least tries to get in the hands of the more people that are out there. So I will give that to them. Any other kind of thoughts before we wrap it up?
I'll add to that. Kudos to him for trying to do something, but these are the entities that are keeping us from having national shipping. And it's kind of like it comes up every now and then on this show, but if Virginia really wanted to take care of their consumers, they would allow other states to be able to ship to them. Instead, they are focused on their revenue for their state, and they're doing the best they can. And if anyone from Virginia ABC is listening or watching, you can do both. You would make your state very happy, and you would still have plenty of revenue. Somebody shipping from Rhode Island or Boise, Idaho will not impact your sales whatsoever, but you will have a legal bottle in your state and a very happy consumer that will probably come into your store for something else. So that's my last word.
No revenue.
But happy consumer. Figure out some way to make everybody happy. Because cheers to Fred. Yeah, hopefully everybody kind of gets on board with that one as well. So I wanted to have one last question, kind of a fun one to throw to the group, only because I looked at it and I said, we get these questions all the time, and there's plenty of YouTube channels, other podcasts, blogs out there that they go, oh, like, what are the best bourbons to kind of start your home bar with? And I started looking at this and I think, well, what are the cool things that people, now that we all have our home bars and they're probably overflowing with bourbon, now that we have amassed too much bourbon, and we were to tell somebody starting their own bourbon bar in their basement, what is one essential item that you need that isn't bourbon? I'll go first. I'll make it easy on you. I'll break the ice here. So when I started getting a lot of bottles, I always had the idea that I want to keep a little bit of something that may be special. Maybe it is, I know I actually have some samples from like the bad Elmer T. Lee batch because it had like the cork taint. And I said, just to make sure that I'm, years from now, I'm not crazy. But I still think that if you get yourself, 50 to 100 2-ounce amber sample bottles. And so at the end of a bottle, instead of you want to cash it out, but you want to save it, you want to save that just the last 2 ounces for something, just put it in a little amber bottle, stash it somewhere. And then before you know it, you've got 30 or 40 of them. You can go back a few years later and you go, oh, okay, I remember this bottle now. This is a pick that I did. This was the last of Van Winkle 12-year that I opened up with my dad. It was something, right? So I that was one thing that I kind of pulled away of knowing that I could keep a little something sentimental to it. And I like power bourbon. Just get Armagnac. Don't even worry about bourbon. Just go a completely different situation there. What about you,
for going non-bottle, I mean, I think you need good glasses. There's decanter, good glasses, all that kind of stuff. I'd say, just find a empty bottle of a really expensive bottle like Pappy or something like that, and just pour cheap bourbon in there and tell your friends you're pouring them something really nice every time, and they'll never know the difference. And afterwards, you can tell them like, oh yeah, you thought you knew a lot, but that was actually that was Barton that I put in there. And
classic.
No,
that's the true poor man's Pappy right there.
That's the real one. That's the real one.
I thought you were gonna say a highlighter, in the Pappy bottle.
Put it on your wall at the very top for when you have house parties.
Do that too. I think the key to a home bar is just have a lot. That's nobody's ever disappointed if there's a lot of options. So keep buying more bottles, everyone.
So
But-
so the right answer isn't line your bar with Buffalo Trace. I thought that was the right answer.
That's
probably
never
the
the answer.
second best answer.
But Kenny, wasn't your question non-bourbon, non-bottles?
Yeah, I was confused by this question.
What do you want to know here? Because Blake's dropping bourbon.
Now it's open ended.
Okay.
So let's say it's just like not one of like, oh, you got to get one of these 5 bottles. You got to have a Blanton's. You got to have a Four Roses. You got to have not any of that. Like, what's something that's ancillary? Maybe it's a different kind of liqueur. Maybe it's your favorite kind of bitter vermouth. Maybe it's
Okay.
Maybe it's 2-ounce sample bottles. Like, I don't know.
So-
What do you think?
So, did you ask me or someone else?
Anybody, go ahead, take the floor.
So I'm a big fan of dehydrated citrus, and CR Citrus is a place where you can buy it and like it's already done for you. But I have a dehydrator as well, and you can dehydrate your own citrus. But what I like to do, like, there's the analytical tasting, and then there's just your feet up, just kind of relaxing, where I can enjoy the whiskey and not necessarily have to think what I'm tasting. I'm enjoying it, and I'm not having to break it down. There's 2 different mindsets. I like to get one of those nice large cubes. So I think like having something that will mold your ice is very nice. We both have that big giant friggin' press that weighs 1,000 pounds and will smash it into a nice little ball. Kenny, you went viral with that. And then
these hands are famous.
They are famous. That's not the only reason. You're on a few websites with those things.
We don't talk about those ones. Those are the secret paychecks that come in.
Those another time too. You fold the citrus around the big ice cube and you pour the whiskey over it, and it's an amazing experience. Like, I'm not a big bourbon cocktail guy. I'm not. I love rum cocktails, but there's only a couple bourbon cocktails I really like. And but I do like to have a little citrus and some ice with the whiskey. In terms of like what bourbon to get, look, stock up on like Russell's Reserve 10-year-old, Rare Breed, Knob Creek. I mean, there's a lot of products that you don't have to spend a lot of money on that drink some of the $200 bottles under the table. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, there's
Pursuit
some good
United.
I was going to say United. You can get it from Steel Box. 30 some odd states. Just go there. Clear them out.
Clear them out. Fred, I'm with you on the citrus, and so I grabbed my bitters for people who haven't tried to make your old fashioned yourself, and you've just used the syrup. I mean, really, one whiff of these bitters, and it's fantastic. So work on your bitter game for your bar. And then if you're going to be making a bourbon cocktail, branch out. Don't just do the old fashioned or the Manhattan. None of these are paid promotions, but ginger goes so well with bourbon. Try this. It's not going in focus, but try this ginger flavored liqueur.
Domaine de Canton is what he's holding up right there.
Yeah,
Heaven Hill
the Canton. It's and now I'm out of focus. There it goes. And it's just it gives such a nice kind of color to the bourbon that you got to use that. So bitters and ginger liqueur.
I'm actually a big fan of that Domaine de Canton in a Gold Rush. You can kind of substitute and add a little bit of that. It's actually a great little cocktail there.
All right.
So I kind of thought of this question a different way. So, as you're thinking about home bars, I see a lot of posts online about people building bars in their basement or an extra room in their house, things like that. And for those listening, when I was joking about Buffalo Trace earlier, do not line your shelves with Buffalo Trace. That was obviously sarcastic. But I think lighting, if you're building a bar, you're building out a room, a space, I'd say the one thing that you definitely want to pay attention to and think about if it's a space you're gonna be hanging out in is lighting. I did some things with lighting, I have lights on the shelving behind me. I have some other lighting. I actually have a chandelier that I made out of barrel staves hanging above the computer. I'm kind of tucked in the corner here, but definitely getting that kind of feel with lighting and what you can do with that makes a big difference. So as you're thinking about what do I kind of want the room to feel like that we're in, where this bar is going to be that I'm building. I think kind of the ambiance with bourbon is something you think about. Anyone that, has enough bourbon in their house that they actually have like a dedicated space for it, you get to the point where you think about kind of details like that, and you think about who is it that I'm going to be sharing this with and hanging out with, and you start thinking about little details like that. So certainly do not skimp on lighting. Spend the extra money, because whatever you do when you do the build out, if that's what you're doing, you're probably not going to change it for a while. So do that. Spend the extra money on that when you make that improvement to your house or your bourbon bar.
I like that. Lighting's important.
And
Very
double
important.
your square footage on shelf space.
Triple.
I always go like 200 to 300% on that for sure.
As with everything, I have two things I want to have on my additions to my bourbon. One would be a really nice country ham or something on a stand that you can do like a Ben's ham or something, because it just goes perfectly with
now we're talking. That's
yes. Or get the Costco prosciutto Serrano ham or hamon or whatever the fancy people say. My second thing is really cheap. You can get like 200 of these for like $10. Is a graduated cylinder in milliliters, and you can start playing with blending different whiskeys, with the stuff on your bar. And so you can kind of blend a high rye mash bill with a low rye mash bill, or a wheated bourbon with the this and that, and you can just kind of play around. That's a graduated cylinder, and 100 mLs or 50 mLs is always fun to just kind of play with different mash bills and see how they interact with each other and whatnot.
Ryan, you're a really good blender, and I'm not just saying that, but is that how you got your start? Even before you were in the business, like you would use a graduated cylinder?
I did, yeah.
It's a strong prop game too.
Yeah.
It is. I know, I have them laying around everywhere, and it's like
our mad scientist over here.
Yeah. No, it's fun though.
Blake, did you have one?
Yeah, he said the Pappy with the highlighter.
No, I mean, I kind of had a joke a little bit about that one, but no, I would agree with that. Kind of the same thing, and it's taken more of a I feel like a shtick at this point, but like the decanter where you drop things in, it's kind of the same idea of
the infinity bottle. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to call it the infinity decanter, but you can do your own blending there. So, maybe you don't do a true infinity, but you do 3 to 4 bottles. I used to do the bourbon or house blend where I think I did Angel's Envy and something else. And it was actually a really good blend, but I think that's kind of the fun stuff. Give somebody something unique and different to try when they come by. So having your own house blend in a decanter, I think, is always a cool route to go.
But you've also taken it a step further, because not only do you have the house blend, you got a house barrel you start dumping stuff in now, right?
I do have the house barrel. That's like the seal box sample barrel. So I didn't realize how many of the small bottles I have from just over the years of stuff, and started dumping a lot into that. And there's probably a good 20 liters of whiskey in this thing at this point. So yeah, if you're buying a bunch, I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, see, we don't do infinity bottles anymore. We do infinity barrels. That's how it works.
They step that game up.
That's when you've made it past the buffalo chasing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. I think we gave some people some good information, some things to start thinking about if they're thinking about their build out and stuff like that. But we had a lot of good topics to bring up today as well. Talking about 1792, talking about Virginia ABC. I think those are 2 really good hot topics. But I want to say thanks again, guys, for coming on the show today. We'll let you all kind of help close us out, and we'll go the way we first started. So, Brian, go ahead and lead us out here.
Yeah, that's fun. This is fun topics again, man. You come up with the good ones. I got to help you out one of these days. But Brian with Sipping Corn, keep me on all the socials at Sipping Corn and online at bourbonjustice.com. Thanks.
Got it. Nick.
Guys, fun as always. Nick with Breaking Bourbon, breakingbourbon.com, at Breaking Bourbon everywhere on social. Fun chat, guys.
As always. I love having your soft, silky voice come and bless us on these roundtables.
The after hours is coming up next with Nick.
We need to do some Barry White intro music next time we have Nick on.
Those 900 numbers. Put a 900 number up, Kenny. Call Nick.
1-900 bourbon after midnight.
And Blake.
Yeah, I'm Blake from Sealbox and Bourboner. Less on the Bourboner these days, but always fun. Streak continues even on the iPhone. So thank you all for having me. It's been a good time.
Perfect. With that, I want to say thanks, guys. This has been fun. We'll be back here in another month with another roundtable, but a lot more of just podcasts and blogs and bottles that can be shipped your way from all these guys around here. But with that, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time. And it probably could have been better timing because all this like webcams, chat, XYZ, dating, adult site, all just kind of
started. Well, they picked up Nick's algorithm on the 1-900 numbers.
Yeah, I know.
As soon as you say 1-900, they're listening.
Wait till Elon calls them. That won't happen.
Yeah, this is
block user. I'm gonna figure out how to use this. I haven't had to do
only
this
the first time I've seen that pop up in a YouTube chat like that.
I had,
you made it.
Yep.
I have listening. Like a bunch of like keywords that are like blocked, and dating is one of them. You can put that in the thing.
900 is another one.
Hold on, you deleted them all? I didn't even get the URL yet.
Don't worry.
What do you all think about Elon Musk buying Twitter?
I love it.
I do too.
I wanted to talk about it tonight, but I got shut
down. Kind of feels like it's bourbon related.
Why? I'm curious.
Bourbon related?
There's a lot of bourbon related things that are going on there, and
with Twitter or with Elon Musk?
On Twitter. On Twitter, and like, I mean, how many of us have had post-sanction for having some kind of alcohol content? Like I
thought you were telling me like something's like it's big inside of Twitter HQ or something like that. No, I didn't know. Like,
it happens on Instagram a lot. Do you have it happen on Twitter, Fred? Do you get Instagram?
Twitter's is a pretty free forum, but like Facebook, I got demonetized on Instagram for a couple months. And then Facebook, I got I got an actual strike. And the funny thing is, like on YouTube has actual policies, but they don't enforce them. So, and now they're starting to enforce them because of Kendall Jenner with her fucking drinking from a straw out of tequila and
the Ocho or whatever it was.
It's 818.
818,
yeah.
Hold on, what was she doing on there?
So she was drinking straight from the bottle, with a straw.
Let's be real. It's not.
But Discus like went after her, and they worked with the social medias groups, and pulled her out. But
do you really think I don't? Okay. I'll throw the conspiracy foil hat on. Jenners are bigger than Discus. I'll say it. There's no way that.
But they did the same thing with Scotch Trooper.
Like Discus is not it's not a legal thing. Like
it is.
But alcohol is a legal thing.
On something, but they're not.
No. Discus has actual legal power, because if you look in the federal,
they have lobbying power. I don't think they have legal power.
No,
they're not the FDA.
No, they have legal
Federal
power,
Alcohol Administration Act power. Because the federal government does not, they rely on the industry to police themselves, and they basically in the actual code, they point to Discus's responsibility stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Brian, but like all of that is it's all laid out in their advertising.
I think you are. I dove pretty deep into this whenever they were coming down on Scotch Trooper. So you don't have to be a member of Discus, so you don't have to be policed by them, but then you're not, a part of what they do. And at first I was like, man, it's just an overreach in so many ways. But you kind of have to appreciate it too, because they're like protecting it from, and I know Fred, you'll talk about, like, there's people out there who would like prohibition to come back. And that's kind of what Discus is protecting it from. They're saying, hey, let's not take this too far, because this is what people are going to use to say we need to cut down really hard. They're like, we want this to be it's like they prune the hedges, So
so wait, I don't know too much about this incident, but what was it possible that was she sipping out of was it a brand that was shown?
It's a brand she was part owner of, and she was advertising for, and she was drinking a straw out of
her brand.
Yeah,
I
mean,
I could
irresponsible consumption.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
Yeah, but because from the marketing standpoint of the brand,
I gotta
see. We should have talked about Elon and Twitter.
If it's anything about Kendall Jenner, I'll tell you I do not know it.
Well, but like, it's got to be a majority 20 or under 21 who follow her. So then if she's doing that, it's like, I get it. They should, I guarantee you, I don't have a single follower underneath 21, because it's like everybody's in bourbon and that kind of stuff. Hold on, is this it? Okay.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's
Kenny pulled that up.
If that's specifically to market the brand,
that was in his favorites. That was.
It was a pretty easy Google search, I'll be honest with you.
That's
Kenny's commenting on it.
Can we photo shop a bottle of Pursuit United instead of the 818, and that'd be a bottle sticker? Is that
no. Like, I would love for the Daily Mail and USA Today to talk about Pursuit United. Like, let's figure out how far we can take this.
I think we've got our next round of stickers
what rules
here.
do I need to break to
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm kind of full of.
I felt like it was the exact same outfit with.
Yeah, I don't.
And
like
that's why this stuff.
A little bit too much.
That's why this has more power, is because the federal government is basically like saying, like, industry, police yourself, so we don't have to. And if there's ever a moment where things get out of line, then the federal government's going to start policing, and the industry doesn't want that.
Nobody wants that.
But on the other hand, no one is going to the no one is going to the liquor stores and observing how many people drink in the parking lots before they go to work. And that, to me, that's like where everything falls short with the drinking responsibility campaign, is like the onus is always on the distillers, but the retailers get like a pass, So
I don't know. I mean, you've got some states who have actually arrested people. They'll do bus, and if you don't ID somebody, they can be arrested. I mean, and so that seems a little harsh, but
no, that's the underage part, or is that the underage part, or is it just not showing it?
Yeah, underage. Well, no, just somebody looks younger or under whatever it is, 35 or something, and they didn't ask for an ID. And so, yeah, because we've kind of run into that on pickups of like, are we forced to check IDs, or so we do, but yeah, I think we need to take the mute buttons off of the next roundtable. This has been way more lively, Kitty. I know it's going to be an editing nightmare, but
do you think
everyone's super polite?
Do you think if Elon ran Facebook, the secondary market be shut down?
Yeah, the secondary market's moving to Twitter is what I heard.
Elon would run the secondary market on Facebook.
Elon, that dude would be like, "Hey, I'll throw in a Tesla NFT, bring it up,"
So Blake, I don't know if you know anything about this, but I guess FedEx now is going to be taking pictures of the license every time they drop off.
I actually got my license swiped the other day from FedEx. We haven't moved back over to them, but yeah, I mean, I think that's fantastic. Like
that's
every time
been happening out here. That happens out here.
It's such an easy controllable thing. Like, why don't we do more of that? But
yeah, if the argument is that, shipping, it's going to get in the hand of underage people because of unscrupulous delivery drivers and leaving it on doors, you make the requirement that we're going to take a photo of the license, the ID, you got to show it, and it's going to be part of that process. That argument goes out the door. You can't. I don't think you can make that argument again. It's more than what any retailer is doing anywhere.
Way
as
more.
long as they make it, you can do it at a pickup point. Like, because like I'm never home to do the signage. You know, it's like if I'm not home, then you take it to Walgreens or a FedEx store where I can go and show my ID.
And still, which so
I'll be curious how they deal with that.
Tinfoil hat as well, but FedEx was pretty strict on a lot of that stuff, and I think they have just been beaten down by the states so much. They're coming out with like a foolproof system to be like, no, you can't come and argue with us anymore. Like, we can collect taxes, we can take IDs, we can, like, there's no excuse but violating commerce clause. That's like my next 2 to 3 years of conspiracy theories, but we'll see.
Bring it.
Yeah, you get your own lobbyist group behind you now.
Yeah, I wish.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Yeah.
That's why he's in DC.
Yeah.
The epicenter.
Man, this is fun. I'm gonna jump.
Always.
All right, happy anniversary. Get to
happy anniversary.
Yeah. I'm gonna wake my wife up. Hey, we're done.
So our 15th anniversary is coming up on the 25th of May, and I'm taking Jacqueline on the 19-year-old Willet barrel pick, and she's pretty excited about that.
Mean,
yeah.
My wife would be like, "This sucks," but I feel like if she appreciates that, there's no better.
Listen, my wife
eating after this or what?
Enormous.
What was that for the tornado?
Bourbon drinker. Yeah,
for the tornado.
Yeah. My friend was one of my friends was with one of the buyers.
Nice,
dang,
good friends.
That's great.
So,
do
y'all need a third wheel?
Actually, we were going to.
I kind of heard an invite in there. I don't know.
We needed a retailer.
I heard a Bourbon Pursuit sticker.
I know a guy.
We'll do Kendall Jenner on it.
If the Kardashians come after us, that's even bigger. Like, we don't need discus. Let's have the Kardashians come after us.
Yeah, that was Dave. That was Dave Pickerel's like marketing strategy for a lot of the stuff he did. He would tell people to get sued, so they would get the press.
Do the Wally Damp move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
No such thing as bad press most of the time.
I don't know about that. I think, I think bad press.
There's some bad press out there these days. Yeah. All right.
The good thing about bad press, it only lasts like 2 days.
That's true today.
Yeah. Attention span is very short.
I know.
By the way, Trump is coming to the Derby. And I'm like, shit, now there's going to be all these protesters and everything there.
That's
not happen.
Yeah,
there'll be protesters anyway. There's always somebody protesting Derby. It's like,
yeah, but not like that kind of level protest. I mean,
you get the crazy like Christians. They're like, hell's hot. Hope you like hell. Hope you like fire. And then
you're gambling.
And then there's like the animal rights people and all this shit every year. It's like,
at the Derby.
Every year.
What was it? A few years ago, they had to kill a horse on the track. So
8 bells.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
2008.
Yeah.
Get out the blue tarp.
I was there, man. I was a photographer. I was shooting. And we were on the track. I was a rail photographer, and I was going to photograph the winners, and there was all this ruckus, and like the AP report, the AP reporters or the AP photographers, they just have like this sixth sense, like they just always fucking know when someone's about to die, and so
even a horse.
It was like that in Iraq. It was like that on the track, and like the only photo of 8 bells getting put down was from an AP reporter, because everyone was focused on the winners, which is Big Brown and the owners. And so he gets a shot, and it's just so sad. But I have this amazing photo of 8 bells, like right on Big Brown's hip, right before he took off. Man, it was a sad fucking day.
That is, man. What a mood killer.
Yeah, way to
Jesus.
end this on a high note. That's
Ooh.
for sure.
Thanks,
Well, I didn't
Fred.
know we were ending. Jeez. I haven't seen you
Well,
all. I haven't seen Nick forever.
I meant being there more than hearing about. I mean, definitely to
yeah.
be there and witness that would really suck.
Yeah, and they have her buried out in the behind the Kentucky Derby Museum, so should definitely go check that out.
Yeah, yep. Well, there's people that want to know are we doing a Patreon lottery, blending with Ryan or story time with Fred?
We can combine them both.
Yeah,
Why not? I say why not both?
Double the price.
That'd be a hell of a time, Ryan. You do the blends, and I'll just sit there and drink.
You'll put them to bed.
Fucking talk. But no, I mean it, man. I have been so impressed with you all, like what you all have been putting out. It's been leaps and bounds ahead of all the new brands, that come out. It's been really impressive.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate it. We just need to do a story time and blend class.
Yeah, I like it. Have some fun with that
at the library.
That one of the seminars in June.
Yeah, at the Palooza.
Yeah.
My cigar line might be ready by then. We could have it there and like
who's making your cigars?
It's a company called Divine Leaf, and they source from Honduras and Nicaragua.
I need some of those.
Barrel aged, Fred?
No, I'm not a big fan of the barrel aged ones actually. I kind of went with the kind of stuff I like.
Remember what was it, the girl we had on talking about cigars, Cigar Lover 12? Remember she was saying that barrel age is all just bullshit anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I'll take some.
Like most cigar stuff, and
most like whiskey stuff too.
I'll trade you some lawn care for some cigars.
I smoke cigars like twice a year, so I'm definitely not the connoisseur of cigars.
I can do them like 8 times a year.
I've cut back, but
including a couple in the coming weeks, I bet.
Exactly. Yeah. This is that time.
This is cigar month right here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen, I got to run.
Yeah, I think it's about time to close it down.
Too. Good night.
Good seeing y'all.
Always
fun.
Hey, Nick, good seeing you, man. Miss you.
You too, man.
Have fun with the after hours talk.
Next time I'm in Kentucky, Fred. We gotta meet again.
I'd love to hang out.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
And thank you everybody that was on the chat. We had 100 people just sticking around, watching us BS about nothing. So
sweet.
Thank you all.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.